The town that's been burning underground for 60 years. The fire was older than most of the people who stayed. It breathed beneath the streets, a low, constant exhale that warmed basements in winter and cracked foundations in summer. On cold mornings, smoke curled up through the soil like the town itself was sighing. The warning signs, danger, toxic gases, were so faded they looked embarrassed to still be standing. Mara Keene had learned to read the fire the way other people read weather. If the ground felt soft underfoot near Oak Street, she crossed the road. If the air smelled like rotten eggs, she closed the windows and brewed coffee strong enough to argue back. Her family had lived here for 4 generations. Leaving, to Mara, felt like forgetting how to pronounce her own name. Her father, Len, sat at the kitchen table every morning at exactly 6:30, listening to a radio station that barely came in anymore. The house creaked when he shifted his weight, wood complaining, not warning. "They say it's worse this year," Mara said, pouring coffee. "They say that every year," Len replied. "Fire's been here since before you were born. It knows us." Mara didn't argue. In this town, arguing with facts was like shouting into the earth. It swallowed everything. Across the street lived the Donnellys, one of the last families with children. Their youngest, Caleb, was 9 and had learned early which cracks in the pavement hissed when you stepped too close. He called them dragon mouths. His mother hated that. At school, what remained of it, 2 classrooms and a library that smelled like mold and resignation, the children were taught evacuation drills that felt theoretical. Buses would come, officials would help, somewhere else would become home. But drills didn't teach you how to leave a grave. The town used to have 3 bars, a movie theater, and a bowling alley. Now it had 1 bar, no movies, and an alley where no one remembered the rules anymore. Still, on Friday nights, the bar filled with the stubborn glow of people who refused to be statistics. They talked about roofs collapsing in other towns, about sinkholes opening like mouths mid-sentence. They laughed louder than necessary. Survival here was a performance. Mara worked at the post office, sorting mail for addresses that no longer existed. Some days she swore she could feel heat rising through the concrete floor, a fever with nowhere to go. Once, a government man came, clean boots, careful smile. He knocked on doors and offered numbers, buyouts, relocation packages with pamphlets showing trees that didn't smoke. "You can't put a price on roots," Len told him. The man nodded, as if he'd heard that before, as if he would forget it by dinner. The fire claimed things slowly. First, the church steps cracked. Then the cemetery shifted, headstones tilting like tired teeth. When the old bakery collapsed into a smoking pit, the town held a vigil. Not for the building exactly, but for what it had meant. Warm bread on Sundays, the smell of yeast and sugar fighting the sulfur in the air. Mara dreamed of the fire sometimes, not as destruction, but as a presence, patient, hungry, endless. In her dreams, it spoke without words, reminding her that staying was also a choice, and choices had consequences. The night the Donnellys decided to leave, the town gathered on their porch. Boxes were stacked by the door, labeled in marker, kitchen, toys, important. Caleb stood barefoot on the steps, staring at the ground like it might answer him. "Will it follow us?" he asked. "No," his mother said too quickly. Len shook Caleb's hand like a grown man. "Remember where you're from, even if you don't come back." After the car disappeared down the road, the silence felt heavier than usual. The fire crackled beneath them, amused. Weeks later, a new fissure opened behind Mara's house. Steam rose in pale ribbons, warm enough to fog the air. She stood at the edge, heart pounding, and for the first time felt fear without nostalgia wrapped around it. That night, she packed a bag. Len watched from the doorway. He didn't try to stop her. "I'll come back," she said. He smiled, small and tired. "Everyone says that." As she drove away, the town shrank in her rearview mirror, streets buckled, houses leaning inward like conspirators. Smoke curled lazily from the ground, unbothered. The fire would keep burning, it always would. But for the first time in 60 years, it would burn without at least one more witness. And somewhere underground, the town exhaled again, alone, but not forgotten.